Hello there, my name is Graham Wood and today I'm going to show you how I make a simple white loaf of bread. I'm no chef by any stretch of the imagination, but I have learnt to cook over many years, simply out of a sense of self-preservation really, because if I don't cook then I think the whole household would starve. But what I plan to do is just go through, make a few videos showing the simple things that I put together in our very small cluttered kitchen. You'll have to excuse the mess, but it's all we've got. Anyway, the first thing I want to do is just go through the ingredients that we're going to use to actually make this bread. I actually buy everything in Tesco's. It's quite local to us, so it's handy. And so on with how to make bread. Right. Okay, just to go through the ingredients that you'll actually need. The first thing obviously is flour. And that is a bag of flour. And this is Allison's bread flour, strong white flour. It comes in 1.5 kilo bag. And you'll need, I think it's 750 grams of it. So you'll need about half the bag, but obviously you'll need more for dusting as well. So that is the flour. I got that from Tesco's. I'll put a link to it down below. Next thing you'll need is some yeast. Now this is fast action dried yeast from Tesco's again. And as I said before, I always go shopping at Tesco's. And you'll need 1 sachet of that, so you tear one of these in half, basically. You'll also need, so that's that. Next thing you'll need is some salt. Again from Tesco's, it's just normal table salt. You'll need 2 teaspoons of that. You'll need some butter, and that is Tesco's salted butter. Doesn't necessarily have to be salted. If you don't want to use butter, then you can use some pretend butter, margarine or whatever. I mean, this is a farmhouse loaf we're actually making, so butter would make sense. I mean, if you want to use margarine, then you could make it a Lurpak loaf or something. But I prefer to use salted butter. That's that. And the last thing you'll need is 750 millilitres, 3/4 of a pint of water. And that's it. Okay, we shall now go through the process of putting it all together and making a loaf of bread. The first requirement is to measure out the amount of flour that you actually need, which is 750 grams. So what we'll do is we'll get a set of scales. These ones will take into account the weight of the bowl if you actually put the bowl on first before turning the scales on. And then when you turn the scales on, it sets itself to 0. Okay, so we're going to put in some flour. We need 750 grams. That's 715. Right, that's 735. I have to get another bag out. Here's one I made earlier. Doesn't have to be absolutely exact, but 750 grams is about right. And you've done it all wrong. That's 750 grams. Good. Right, we'll put that to one side. Right, you now need 30 grams of butter. So what we're going to do is add butter until this says 780 grams. Now with butter, it's probably better to have butter which has been standing out overnight, because otherwise if you take it out of the fridge you'll be doing this all day and probably all night as well, because you've got to mix it in with the flour. Okay. So we take that off the scales, turn it off, don't need the scales anymore, pardon me, and then you're going to mix all this up. So basically you want to have all the butter totally mixed up into the flour. Makes a right old mess. You can generally feel when the butter is starting to disappear. Right, the next step in the proceedings is to add some salt and then some yeast. So we want 2 teaspoons of salt. I'll just do small teaspoons. I don't want too much salt. Bread does have quite a bit of salt in it actually. Okay, a bit more fluffing about. Mix that in. Next it's time for the yeast. So we want 1 sachet of yeast. I'm going to have to cut this with scissors. Go back in there. Alright, and just sprinkle that around. And you've got to thoroughly mix this in. Right, now you're going to make a little well for the water. You need 3/4 of a pint of water, which has got to be tepid. Tepid is, I don't know, between 30 and 40 degrees. I certainly wouldn't, if you're going to measure it, then you don't want water over 40 degrees because that might kill the yeast. I'm sure the yeast is quite hardy, but you don't want to take the chance because it won't rise. So below 40 degrees, but obviously not cold because otherwise nothing will happen. You might notice a slight difference in sound here, because on the previous take I forgot to turn the audio recorder on, so basically you'll just get the audio from the cameras. Okay, water, tepid water, 3/4 of a pint. Pour it into the little well that you made in the middle. And then start stirring with a large spoon. So basically, you want to make it as dry altogether as you can. You don't want any big wet spots. It's going to all stick together initially. But once we actually turn it out onto the surface, work surface, and start mixing it up properly, then you'll get rid of all that stickiness. It might seem initially to be quite sort of stiff, and it is. At the end of the day, it's bread mix, so it's going to be stiff. There's two stages to this. Is once you've actually mixed all the water in, then we've got to turn it out onto the surface and just work it to thoroughly mix it in. Then it goes back into the bowl, and then you leave it to stand covered in a warm place for about an hour or so, and then it will rise, hopefully, and then you tip it back out, work it a bit more, and then put it into your bread tin, or whatever it is that you're actually going to use to put it in the oven. Okay, put that to one side, get rid of that. Throw some flour on here. Jubbly jubbly. Now take this out. With all its flour, which hasn't mixed in yet. And then you're just going to work it, beat it up, get violent, whatever. It takes a while. Help it's all stuck to the spoon, and then just start working it. This will stick to your hands initially until it's of a more drier consistency, and then it shouldn't actually be that sticky once it's all worked in together. It's just this initial bit. All these funny little ridges and things which sort of don't look right will actually sort of work their way out once it starts to rise. Because it will go all puffy, hopefully, and then these little ridge things which you can see here will actually work out of the dough. Right, just keep working it. Fold it in on itself. Okay, I think what we'll do there is we're going to pop it back in the bowl. And put it in a warm place, although having said that, the kitchen is pretty warm enough really. What you're supposed to do is put some cling film over the top. And cling film, all it ever clings to is itself. But I mean, you could put an old tea towel over the top, I guess. But okay, we'll set that aside to rise, give it an hour. Okay, an hour and a half has passed us by. Yep, that's risen. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it back onto the work surface and beat it up a bit more, and then we're going to put it into a baking tin. So okay, let's just put some flour on our work surface because we've got to do a bit more work on it. We should have played that song Rise by Gabrielle, but I think YouTube might have had a copyright hissy fit on that one, so I didn't bother. But it rose anyway, so right, this is probably going to stick to the bowl, but anyway. Alright, out you come. Here we go. Gently does it, and there you go. Right, so it feels nice and warm, so we're going to work it some more. This is, I think they call this knocking back or something. So what you're doing is just getting rid of the excess gas which is produced by the yeast fermenting and giving off carbon dioxide or whatever it gives off. So what you're doing is just working it a bit more. Right, I don't actually have a proper cake tin this sort of size. So what I'm going to do, sorry, bread tin, I'm going to use a cake tin. But first of all, we need to grease it. So we just pop that over there. And we're going to grease it with a bit of sunflower oil. So you pour a little bit in there. And you get a little brush. And then you just work it around. This is actually just to stop it sticking. You're going to make sure you get all of it right up to the lip of the tin. Because otherwise it will stick in there and you'll have the devil of a job trying to get it back out again. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop it in here and then we're going to put it back into our warm place for 30 minutes or so. Meanwhile, we can preheat the oven. Now with the oven, you need to set it at 230 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Americanese, but whatever it is in Fahrenheit, I'm sure you can figure it out. And then you've got to do it for about 35 minutes. And then it should come out, and then you've got to let it cool down. Okay, I think that's pretty much done. Let's pop that there. So that's a bit more. Okay. I think this is probably going to be a funny looking loaf, but hopefully. Alright. So what we need that to do is rise a bit more, so we're going to put it aside for 30 more minutes. Meanwhile, preheat the oven. Right, I'll catch you in 30 minutes time. Right, let's get rid of this. And that can go over there. We've got a bit of flour on the thing that needs cleaning up. Right, check this baby out. Yay. The oven is preheating as we speak. As I said earlier, check it out. As I said earlier, that needs to be at 230 degrees for 35 minutes. So let's just set our timer. Focus. 35 minutes. Okay. Right. One of the things you could do is actually dust the top with a bit of flour. I've got a bit of flour actually loafing about on here, so I'll just sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Some people might sort of put a bit of egg white on the top just to sort of give it a burnished look, but I'm not going to do that because it's a waste of an egg, for want of a better reason. Okay, so as soon as that oven heats up, we're going to pop it in and then we'll see what comes out. Cool. So here is our bread going in the oven, and we're going to in here. It goes in the top shelf. Well, let's see what comes out of the oven. Right, what we got here? It's hot. Right. Pop that over here. Okay, this has just come out of the oven. It's a bit dark on one side, but there you go. Right, let's turn it out and see what happens. Will it come out in one piece? Yes. Let's get rid of that. Now, one of the tests for bread, once you've cooked it, is to knock it on the bottom. If it feels hollow, it's good. Right. Ow, wow, wow. Okay, what we're going to do now is let it cool down, and then we'll cut a piece off and see what it looks like. Okay, our bread is done, and it's a bit burnt on one side, but c'est la vie, say the old folks. Right, what we're going to do now, it's sort of cooled a little bit. I think I'm rushing this a bit. Is to we're going to cut a slice off and see what it looks like on the inside. Right, I've got to come around here. And for the purpose of this camera over there, let's cut a little bit off and see what we got. Probably too hot to carve at the moment, but oh dear, not very good at carving. There we are, look at that. Lovely bit of bread. gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, well thank you very much for bearing with me on this epic journey of my first video. Excuse me whilst my mouth is full. If you actually liked what you saw and you want to see the videos which I intend to make in the future with regard to other recipes and what have you, then there's a little subscribe button, I believe, on the down there somewhere on the bottom right as you see it of the screen. If you want to hit that, then you'll get notifications of new videos coming out. Thank you all for watching this and bearing with me, as I said before, and I will see you all the next time. Thank you. Bye.